This lesson is on doing some advanced things with dates using MySQL. Now the standard date, as I've mentioned before, is in this format. 4-character year, 2-character month, 2-character day, separated by hyphens. If you wanted to see that in a different format, you use something like this. There's a date format function. I pass the publication date to it, and I say, I want to see month, day, year, with slashes. So I'm going to take this statement out, and I'm going to run this actually in PHP MyAdmin. And I'm going to click on the SQL button. Let's actually select the database to be sure I've got the right database. Click the SQL button, and I'm going to paste this in here. So I run this, and it shows me the date format in this different format, month, day, year. Doesn't really show me a lot there, so if I go back to the SQL tab and I put at least the title in there, title, comma, and then I run it, then I can see the book title and the date format for the publishing date in a format that I'd rather see. Nulls still stay nulls, but the format looks different. Now we did not change anything internally. In fact, we can't. Internally, it stores it the way it wants to, and we don't care. All we care is about how we pass the date to the database for updating and how we see it. So if we don't like the default format, we can change it with this date format function that comes with MySQL. Now you have to be careful whenever you use a function on a large table, it's processing this on a row per row basis. So everything that comes back from the where clause, either the whole table or a major portion of the table, is going to have that function operate on the row. So for a very large result set, that can really slow the return of your database query. Clearly, in a small test database like this one, it's not a problem. Let's go look at another function. I'm going to go back to the MySQL interface I have, and I'm going to say I want to actually add date. There's another function called add date. Say I want to make this publication date be another 31 days out. I have add date to pub date, 31. But I do it as part of an update. I say update the book table, set the pub date to be the add date, add 31. Essentially this says add 31 days to the pub date and then overwrite the pub date with that. Remember, just like with PHP and just like with basic math, the thing on the right side of the equal sign is the thing that happens first. So let me take this out, and I'm going to run this in here. And I'll put it before the select statement so we can see the results. So this should go up. This should change to July something. Let's try it out. And it does, July 13th, so forth. All these dates have gotten things added to them, 31 days precisely. So it'll figure out when it crosses month, or if it crossed year, or did whatever. It would handle it for you because it knows how to handle dates internally. Now, just to go to a little bit of documentation here, I've alluded to this before, the MySQL reference manual, and that's in the dev.mysql.com area. You can follow it through the documentation and what have you. You can see there's a whole slew of date and time functions. We just did add date and date format, but you can add date that way. You can get a timestamp. You can get the current date from the server. And if you do any programming where that's date dependent, it's much better to use a server date than a date dependent on a person's computer, because those can get messed up all the time. So if anything's critical, you don't want to use JavaScript to get the date off a person's computer. Rather, get a consistent date from the server. So I encourage you to look at this. Look at the date and time functions if you have a need for it. Look at it in the MySQL manual online and play around with these functions. And you'll probably find a lot of things are already built in for you that you don't need to think about again. That ends my discussion on advanced date handling.